Chapter 134. Farron added, "These bastards. They thought they could do anything in the rural areas and get away with it, damn it." Wilbur frowned and remained silent. Originally, it was not Farron's place to say such things. However, thinking of what happened to Ethan, he still could not help but speak out. Nicholas still did not know Wilbur's identity, but Farron understood that Wilbur had the absolute right to say meaner things because he had Mr. Grayson backing him up. Mr. Grayson led an upright life and hated any form of injustice. He would have lost his temper if he knew something like this had happened. What Wilbur said earlier was not too much. 2 hours passed before they finally got off the highway in Harvest County. "Where should we go first?" Farron asked. Wilbur said softly, "Let's go to Ethan's house and have a look." Ethan navigated as Nicholas drove. After half an hour, the car stopped at a construction site as Wilbur and the others got out of the car. Ethan looked at the busy construction site with a sad look on his face. That was his former home, but it had been razed to the ground as high-rise buildings were being built on top of it. This piece of land took the lives of his parents. However, the price the offending party paid was just to have the man who excavated the machine sentenced to 2 years in prison for charges of negligent homicide. Ethan was overwhelmed by grief at the thought that he could barely breathe. Wilbur comforted Ethan. "Don't be sad. You can avenge them now." Ethan gritted his teeth and nodded as Wilbur continued, "Let's find a place for us to sleep first." They drove to the center of the county, asked for a suite at the Towers Hotel, and then settled in. In the room, Wilbur said to Ethan, "Can you let your classmate come over for a bit?" "Yes." Ethan took out a beaten-up phone with one hand, scrolled to the number, and dialed it. However, after a while, Ethan said with an embarrassed tone, "My phone is no longer in service." Wilbur quickly topped up some money into Ethan's account and asked him to call again. After the phone call got through, Ethan said something and hung up the phone, then said, "She said she will be here in a bit." "Her name was Wendy, right?" Wilbur asked. Ethan nodded, and Wilbur asked thoughtfully, "Does she treat you well?" Ethan seemed a little embarrassed and scratched his head. "We were young when our friendship blossomed, and we even held hands back when we were studying." Both Farron and Nicholas smiled heartily, remembering the times when they were studying. Wilbur smiled slightly and said, "Very good. What is she doing now?" "Her family owns a small shop, and she helps out there." Very soon, the doorbell rang. Farron got up to open the door, only to see an ordinary-looking girl standing at the door. She looked at him with uncertainty and asked, "Is Ethan here?" "That's right, Wendy. Please come in." Farron hurriedly invited Wendy into the room. With a guarded expression, Wendy first peeked into the room before slowly walking in. "Ethan, you're back." From Wendy's expression, it was apparent that she cared a lot about Ethan. However, the alertness in her eyes never disappeared. Ethan stood up and said, "Well, Wendy, I have found someone who can help me with my revenge." However, Wendy seemed to be in doubt. She said, "Did I not tell you not to come back when the matter is not settled yet? Do you know how many people are watching you?" Right at that moment, someone slammed hard on the room's door. Wilbur smiled coldly and said, "They sure are quick to take action."